And you're on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Inspire, Innovate, Ignite panel discussions. I'm Josette Diaz, and I'm your host today, for your facilitator, and we have a wonderful panel that is going to address the issues around the secrets of opening up to possibilities. So I'm really excited about this conversation tonight. And we invite you to join us and ask your questions in the chat. We'll be happy to interact with you, and we can't wait. The more interaction we get, the more fun the conversation is. So I'd like to start off with having our panelists introduce themselves. And please just take a moment to tell us who you are and what you do. And then let's get started on asking some questions here that I think are really going to be such a great starter to talk about what possibilities are, how we open up to them. So Esther, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure, my pleasure. I'm Esther, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Mind Myself. And we've just been live for about a year and a half. People from 56 different countries have come and visited us so far. And the whole purpose for our being is to help you become your own best health advocate. Our goal is to help you feel seen and heard and supported on your health journey so that you can find information and appropriate connection to practitioners who can help you. And we do this because you matter. That's our tagline. And I can't say that often enough because I don't think we believe it really, truly deep in our hearts that we matter. And I think we're going to have some more conversation about that as we have this great discussion this evening about possibilities. And I'm from British Columbia, just outside of Vancouver in Canada. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Esther. And Katerina, would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Katerina. I'm a CEO and founder of Be Your True Self, and I'm all about finding your authentic voice to be able to express your emotional and mental state without feeling judged, and to be able to find ways to integrate your higher self into your everyday life so you can find a process that will help you find solutions in your everyday life. I've had my business now for 7 years and I'm still going, so I'm really proud of that, that I'm still going on. My mission really is to help you find a process that raises your frequency, because energy is very important. So I also help you to connect with your spiritual guidance and your higher self so you can have an intimate relationship.
Beautiful.
Thank you for having me today.
Yes, we're so happy you're here, Katerina. Thank you. And Beverly, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello to everybody, wherever you are. I'm Beverly Akhurst. I'm sort of a city neighbor of Esther's here in Vancouver, Canada. I'm the owner, founder of Rhythm of Your Life and Ocean Breath Yoga. Rhythm being the Sanskrit root word of the words rituals, rites, rhythms. And my mission in this world, in my lifetime, is to enable others to find the rhythm, especially women, of their being. And that's our circadian rhythms, it's our eating rhythms, it's our rhythms of movement, it's everything that is part of us that we've forgotten that brings us back to our healthiest way of being. And I will not be complete in this world until I've planted as many seeds of this as I can. I'm a coach, I'm a facilitator, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a writer, I'm a published author. I speak on podcasts. Anything that gives me the ability to share what I have found in the world is what I do. I'll keep doing it.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, as you can all hear, we have some real wonderful experts with us who have lots of wisdom. So let's open it up. I'm really excited to ask these questions, and I have so many, and I'm going to really try to narrow it down. So let's see where the conversation goes, and then we will just kind of let this be more organic. So I'd like to open up with asking the question of, how do you cultivate a habit of being open to possibilities, even in challenging times? I find this is a really difficult thing for most people because our habits have a tendency to be on automatic. We don't really even know we have habits sometimes. So who would like to answer this question first? Beverly, would you like to go? Yes, thank you.
Why not? Since we're let's go
Just dive
popcorn
in.
style. Cultivating. I like the word simply because everything nature, and we cultivate nature as much as nature cultivates itself. We're in a world where everything is considered anxiety inducing, stress inducing. It seems to be the thing that we've embraced. And to cultivate possibility, you have to find a way through those things. If our physical form is in fear and anxiety, we're closed in. Possibility can exist because the simple fact is that when your body is in that state, your mind comes into that state. Everything in your system will tell everything of you that there's a problem, that you're under attack. And when that happens, that piece of our brain, our fight or flight center, turns on and deals with our fear response. Our sensory body takes in only the things that might possibly do us harm. And when you're there, you're not here. In your frontal cortex, that place of possibility of expansion where anything could open up. You can't be there. Children, babies, infants only function in the fight or flight until they gain locomotion and language. Because when you can ask for what you need, you're safer. When you can move away from danger, you're safer. And when we're in a state where we're closed and we go back to that infant state where we just need to survive. So getting up, moving is our access, our point forward. So that's for me how I cultivate it, whether it's for myself or others. Like, first thing you need to do is get up, find movement, dance, do something that effectively tells the body that you must be safe or you wouldn't be doing this. Have a conversation with somebody. Go hear some beautiful music. Go outside, listen to the birds, stand there and breathe. So these are the things for me that open up that space. There's a lot more, I think, as we know, these questions, we can only put so much in there, but that's the first step to get out of that fear response. Is not that it's our way of being, it's simply our bodies, our internal world trying to take care of us in the way that it knows how. And if we can gift it other possibilities, other ways of being by teaching it that we're okay and we're in control, then we're far better off.
That's really great. Thank you for answering that. I do want to ask you, if you are
Yes.
a person, since you brought up fight or flight, and we're talking about, the nervous system and responses based on a number of things, right? If you're a person who tends to freeze, what would be something that in movement is such a great way to get yourself more regulated? So what could be one of the things that someone could do if they're in that moment of being frozen? Because can be a tough one to get yourself out of.
There's so many things. For me, it's dancing if I feel myself getting into that state. But again, because there's so many possibilities, if we all sort of dive into something, we give everybody else a bigger chance. So one of the things I would say is tremoring. I was taught by Dr. David Bercelli, TRE, and I bring that into practices I do. It can be in anything that you do, but that idea of tremoring to release, that freeze response is massive. It's the polyvagal theory. You move through a fight or flight state. Fight or flight is pretty good because you're still fighting, you're still mobile. But when you hit freeze, that's all shut down. That freeze, faint, fawn, where we're like, okay, whatever you want to be safe.
Right.
To come out of that, you have to go out the other side, which is, again, moving through the thing that fight or flight response. Well, as soon as we hit that, what's the natural reactions for the body? Go, don't like that. I'm going back to freeze. But if you're sitting and talking to somebody at the same time while you're tremoring, hear some good music while you're tremoring and you're in a safe space, it's like, okay, well, I guess nothing bad is happening because remember, an infant gains locomotion, gains language, they're safer, right? So if we can have language, we can decide when to stop the tremoring or not. It's a simple thing. Then you can move through that state back down the other side where you evolve, where you become a little bit more, you're more expanded. So, for all the possibilities out there, I would throw that one in as an amazingly easy way of going, as long as you have somebody there with you, remind you that you're in a safe place when it starts.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Who would like to tackle this question? How do you cultivate a habit of being open to possibilities, even in challenging times?
I'm happy to step in next. I was thinking about this conversation from a slightly different perspective, but it so follows on with what Beverly was saying. And it's like 4 pillars. There's self-care, intentions, curiosity, and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And if we develop all 4 of those pillars in our lives when things are going well, when we're feeling resourceful, when we're feeling creative, and we establish those neural pathways of possibility, of creativity, and we get used to those so that they become familiar. And I'll dive into a little bit more in a moment, but if those are familiar neural pathways for us, if those are familiar ways of being, then when we come to a place of trauma, or we come to a place of lack of resourcefulness, then there's a part of us that will absolutely know how to shift and move into that and say, this is really familiar. I know I'm not feeling awesome at this moment, or I'm feeling a bit stuck, but I know what to do because I have generated, and I think self-care really is at the root. If I love myself and I have been intentional about being consistent with that, and not a selfish way of approaching that, but a really deep sense of self-love and the foundation of that, so that I can also serve in the world. If that is a familiar pattern, then I'm probably not going to be in the place of freeze as often as I might be if I don't take care of myself. And curiosity, I know in our previous conversation, we talked a lot about curiosity. If I remain curious about what's happening, if I stay present and I say, oh, I wonder what this is about, and I take the place of an observer, even though I'm in it and I'm flushing, maybe my system is flushing full of emotions and nervous energy or excitement, because you can interpret that in many different ways. If I'm in the place of curiosity and going, I wonder what this is about, I wonder what this is meaning. Oh, and then I have a choice. So if I've been consistent with my self-care, with my intentions of how I want to show up regularly in my life, not to say I'm perfect, but just to say, I intend to be a person who loves myself. I intend to be a person of service to others. I intend to have a life of meaning and joy and playfulness, whatever it is that you value, and whatever those are, putting them at the forefront. And then I practice those consistently. Then when times are difficult, I have more resources to draw upon, and I can return to, or maybe the word is retreat, but maybe not, but I can retreat to a familiar pattern, go, I know exactly what to do. And I love that Beverly brought up the arts. Singing, dancing, reading, listening to music, going to a theater production, just shifting the energy, maybe going outside for a walk, nature too. Or if you're a person who gardens, I'm a dabbler in gardening and I love it. And I talk to my plants, whether they're inside or outside. And all of those things can really shift me from a place of unresourcefulness to a place of power, or a place of curiosity, or a place of, as we're talking about, possibilities. And I'll leave that there.
So what I heard you really kind of hone in on is building a practice of resiliency of self-care, so that when you do have those challenging times, you've built enough of a toolbox in order to be able to shift your energy. That's really good advice.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Katerina, what do you think about opening yourself up to possibilities during challenging times?
Well, what I'd like to add, because Esther and Beverly did a great job in explaining it, what I would like to add is when you're feeling challenged, allow yourself to look at yourself emotionally and be authentic about how you're feeling and not deny how you're feeling. Because it's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to do all those things, right? So when you come into a freeze state, it's because authentically you really don't know what to do next, right? As a human being, we feel stuck and we don't know what to do next. So I'm just suggesting that you sit quietly and be authentic about how you feel. So you journal, or if you're those people who connect to your spiritual guidance, where you communicate with them, bring them into your space and sit with them and let them give you the questions like, what would it be? What would it look like if you didn't feel like this? And have a authentic conversation, journaling or speaking out loud, however you do it, right? Because I feel if we can unravel that stickiness, we can get down to the authentic reason as to why we're feeling like that. And then you'll be able to, then what you're doing is allowing yourself permission to go and seek others or information that will help you find a solution. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there frozen for a couple of days or weeks or years, however you do it. So it's all about giving yourself permission to unravel the shadow of it. Because and like I said, right, if you're one that sits there and speaks to your spiritual guidance, this is a perfect conversation to have with them, because they can give you a perspective that you haven't thought of and help you to take the next step physically.
That's really good. I love the opportunity to journal and to really sit with yourself and think about it. I think that parlays us into another question here, which is around how important do you feel that it is to surround yourself with people who encourage and inspire possibility thinking?
Well, that's a really good question, isn't it? Because I'm going to speak from the energy point of view. If you're feeling lack of, energetically, you're going to attract people that have lack of, right? So when we're unraveling who we are and what we're doing to help ourselves, you will slowly attract the people who have the higher vibe, okay, the higher frequency, or the higher solutions or energy. And you listen. You sit and listen and have a really good conversation about ideas, opportunities and things like that. But yes, it's really important to let go of those that don't lift you up, that don't make your heart sing, that don't make you have the, oh, wow, I really like that idea, and give you that motivation to go and find a solution. Because we have everything in ourselves to go and find a solution. It's just that sometimes we get in our own way as human beings with our lack of, or emotional stuckness, or but having the people around you who will just hold space for you too, so you can have a vent, so you can express the ugliness of how you're feeling. I think that's very healing, and lots of self-care there as well. Yes, no, it's very important. But once again, it all depends on where you're at. If you are attracting people who are not holding space for you, who are not listening to you, and it's all about ego and what they're doing, then that may come in just to show you what you don't want, so you can have the opportunity to let it go, right? Because we're not perfect, and our guides gives us opportunities to find out what we like and what we don't like. But yes, it's really important, and it can take many years, right? Many, many years of self-development, self-education, self-care tools to finally find the people who will actually take time to listen to you, because there's a lot of ego out there, right? So I recommend that as you unravel and do the work for yourself, you're going to attract the people who will project that back to you and show you how far you've come and celebrate you. Yes, it's beautiful.
That's such a great way to answer it. I love that you touch on the process of peeling back layers. Unraveling is what the word you used, and as you do that, you reveal more, and then you can actually see the people around you a little clearer. So you're right. I think that it, in my opinion, I agree that it is a process of doing that. I'd like to move into asking Beverly this question. I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit because it'd be sort of fun. So Beverly, in your journey of how you deal or have dealt with like the skepticism of others regarding your pursuit of new possibilities, how do you handle that kind of situation?
Oh, that's a good question. Much as I would have loved to answer the other one.
You can answer the other one.
No. This is, for me, it's an easy question. I know it's not an easy question for a lot of people, but I started what I do in my 40s. I'm from a world where everything's like, you should go to school, you should do this, you should have your pension, you should, and that's what I got brought up with. And I landed on a cardiac unit when I was 42 for a week. Woohoo! And I didn't bother telling anyone. There's one person that knew. I was just like, okay, I know I'm exhausted. I know this is stress and I'm so tired. My father just recently died of pancreatic cancer, and there's a lot that goes into all this. And I just went, yeah, this is ridiculous. This is not the way we live. This is not the right thing. And when I finally, it took a while for me to figure out exactly what I was going to do, but it was yoga that gave me my health, my balance, my perspective, my bigger possibility. And I'm like, this is what I need to share with the world. This is why I'm here in this lifetime. And not a yoga class, but everything involved with that better way of being. So, people are going, yeah, but that's not what you do. That's a hobby. That's a thing. Like, are you crazy? And I could have cared less at that point. So I really don't care. It's even hard for me to go back into my 20s and 30s and see that other side, because I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel like I give a damn what anyone else thinks. And I think that's the trick. We have been taught to worry about what everyone else thinks, and possibility can't exist there. It can't. It gets very constricted when we're wrapping it up in the layers of what somebody else believes we should be, what I should show up as in this world, based on a certain set of parameters that have been falsely created in a way to keep us in a certain way of being, because that's good for everybody else. And for me, skepticism is like, well, fine, you can be skeptical. You don't have to believe anything, but have a listen. Try this out. Take a look at how I show up now in life and tell me that what I'm doing is wrong for me. You can't. I am literally just, I don't argue. I don't try and convince. I show up in my purpose, and that is plenty. That is all that's required, because I am living that possibility, and I am honest about the possibility, and I'm honest that it's not a perfect thing, that it requires work, it requires effort. Possibility doesn't, you use somewhere in here the word luck. It isn't luck. Luck isn't actually it hasn't been part of our language for ever. It was created somewhere along the way. So possibility isn't lucky. We have to always work for possibility. You can have an idea, but if you don't do the work to create that idea, to create what it could possibly be, well, then it's just a dream that can twitter away over here. So I show up. I do. I try. Nothing's perfect, but everything that's meant to be, if I put the effort in, happens.
You mentioned some really beautiful, beautiful things. I love what you spoke of when you spoke about identities and how, I believe that we put on identities to get us through adulthood,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then there comes the moment where we have an adjustment of that mindset and where we stand with it, right? And for you, that was something that was big, and it usually is
Yeah.
big for most of us.
Yeah.
And that it sounds like, and what I hear you say is that it really solidified your belief in what it was that you wanted for yourself and what worked best for you in your life. Did I hear that right?
You did. And I would even add, I don't even know if solidify is a word. It created the roots. It created the roots for it. And like everything, roots, what grow above the roots above ground has to be nurtured, has to
Yeah.
be cared for. So I set really strong roots and they get deeper every year and they spread farther every year. And because of that, I'm able to nurture what everybody else sees. And it becomes easier and easier to not have to think about what anyone else does because at some point it's like, oh, that's the tree I want to go sit under. And instead
Yeah.
of going, that could never be a tree, let's dig it up out of the yard. It's like, no, it's too nurturing and it provides good shade. And so let's keep it because it actually feels good. And let's not question that it's a tree because it is something that's enjoyable.
Yes, so well put. And I think that that really kind of is very reflective of what possibilities actually are. Like
Mhm.
that just openness of just knowing that they
Yeah.
exist, that it's there and it can grow and flourish. So thank you very much. I think that's
Mm.
a really great way to answer that question.
Thanks for the question.
Thank
I
you.
have a quote that is a wonderful follow-up on that, if you're okay with that, Josette.
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, well, Brene Brown, who's one of my favorite people to read and listen to, she says, nothing has transformed my life more than realizing that it's a waste of time to evaluate my worthiness by weighing the reaction of the people in the stands. And it's so true. I believe that. And I heard recently someone said, just today, I was on a phone call with a person in Ontario, Canada, and she said, everybody's projecting on us all the time. And when they do, they're really thinking more about themselves and it has nothing to do with us. And I think if we can keep that, no, I'm not putting my thumb up. If we can keep that at the forefront of our minds, that when people have really strong opinions about something and it may or may not resonate with us, we don't have to go down that path. So I know you didn't ask me this question, Josette, but I really wanted to get that little bit in there.
No, I love that you had something very strong calling you to say, and that's wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
I would say that it's really important to hold choice at the forefront of our mind, of our heart. And it's going to come up in a lot of the answers for many of these things about possibilities. We get to choose. And maybe we haven't been empowered as we've grown up, depending on the culture, depending on so many different aspects, socioeconomic status, our race, whatever that is. But we have so much more choice than we might have thought when we were little kids and all of our personalities were forming and exploring and doing all of those things. But truly, we have more choice than perhaps we've given ourselves the permission to do.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you, Esther. I'm glad you hopped in with that. That was really nice. Thank you. And Katerina, I'd like to ask you a different question.
Sure.
What advice would you give to someone who feels they are in a cycle of repetition and looking to break free?
Wow. Be kind to yourself, first of all. Understand that this repetition is showing you that there's something within yourself that needs to be broken away or taken away or removed, however word you want to use. So you really, the self-care comes in with the repetition. Like when it happens once or twice, okay, so it happens twice and you're still not listening. The third time usually comes in and it really could drag you by the hair or really cause a lot of problems, right? Because you're not listening. But what's really important is that you just be kind to yourself and understand and ask the question, why is it that I've come to this point and I still haven't learned today? Or what is it that I can do to help myself bring myself out of this repetition? Because we all go through a cycle of repetition, if that's the word you want to use, right? A circle of perpetuating karma, I call it, right? We just keep going and going. And if you're sitting there quietly and you're saying to your guidance or God, whoever you speak to, you know, what can I do to remove this? Well, your higher self and you will give you situations to show you what you can do. It's really all about, are you prepared to listen to the person or the opportunity or things like that? Are you prepared to listen? Even when you don't like it, are you prepared to listen to understand why you're taking that perpetual cycle of repetition? And what I would like to say too is, you're not perfect. We weren't made, as human beings, we weren't made to be perfect. Yeah, maybe our soul, but that's a different conversation, right? But we've come to be human to understand how to unravel and create a process that will take us out of the repetition. You really need to make a decision about, let me find my courage to remove myself from this situation by allowing myself to include those that have already done it in my life so I can learn, right? So self-education is really important as well. Look into your heart. Why are you doing this over and over again? Look at your self-worth, your self-value, self-worth and self-love is really all it is, the process, right? We're all unraveling to the core of our self-love and self-worth. Sometimes our self-love wants us to see the repetition because in your quiet moment, you're asking, say, okay, your guides, because I work with them very closely, and you're saying, why am I doing this? So you will bring something in your situation to show you why you're doing it. So once again, it's about, are you listening? Are you just being quiet and observing what's going on? Have you got the courage to make it change? Because change is frightening. Change can be depleting, right? Did I say that right? Change, yeah, change, you can have that freezing moment. We all have our words to express it, but what I would like you to know is love yourself even more in that moment when you don't understand 1,000 times. Like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. If you don't know the answer, say that. Keep saying that so you can build your self-worth to find the courage so you can attract. And I know that somebody will come into your life, you're going to have a conversation, and there is the answer that you've been seeking, right? You just have to allow yourself, and maybe too, right? Maybe you need to forgive yourself for being in that position in the first place, because the way we're brought up, the culture, the environment, what's hanging around us, blah blah blah, that can make us feel like we're creating repetition.
So are you really kind of saying to lean into the repetition and see what is waiting for you to be, what is waiting to be revealed to you?
Yeah, because I'm very much about transmutation through the shadow, through our physicality, right? So through our emotional and mental state, so we can bring clarity. So I'm encouraging you not to be afraid to look into the shadow of what is the repetition, because there within that shadow is the light of treasures, as I call it, your little gems that will bring you the solution. But we can you just have to decide that you're going to find the courage to do it. Once you say yes, and once you take a breath and just step back, everything in your world will bring you what you need, even if you don't like what you hear, or even if you don't like what has been presented. It's just showing you some solutions that you can choose to take, because once again, you know, we have free will and we have to choose. And once again, if you work with your guidance, they can only present the ideas and opportunities. You have to choose whether you will say yes or no. But don't be afraid, right? Because the ego wants you to be afraid of your shadow, because the ego knows there's gems in there for you to build up your self-worth and self-love. And that means you'll just put your ego aside and not be triggered anymore, and not get into conversations that will, you know, make you feel less of and things like that, right? So build your self-awareness in that shadow of a moment. And I'm telling you, you're going to find your little treasures, and you're going to go, wow. So, you know, it's your shadow that takes you to your self-worth journey. And then what you do, what you're doing is you're clearing your energy field to bring more light in, which will then amplify your solutions and answers for you to say, okay, this is what I'll do.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
it's always going to show you your growing edge.
Yeah, because the universe wants to help you. The universe wants to give you everything. It's the ego that's stopping you from entering your shadow, so you can find that light within you, right? So you got to make friends with your ego. Just have a conversation with it. What is it that I can help you so you can calm down? You know, have authentic conversations like you would with a friend.
I think that leans into a lot of what Beverly said earlier.
Yeah.
About, you know, regulating yourself and knowing that there's a safety net, which is, you know, keeping you safe, yet it's not allowing you to grow. And that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Esther this question. How do you differentiate between a genuine opportunity and a distraction?
That really is a good question. I think if I'm present and I'm building all those good habits of self-love and consciousness and intention and choice, and whether you're a business person or whether you're just living your life and doing creative pursuits or whatever it is that you are doing, if you have a vision for your life, maybe a vision or a mission or both, and a set of values, how am I going to approach my life? What do I really believe in? What feeds my soul? And if you keep those, I'm a writer, so I write them out and I put them in a place where they're visible. Sometimes I have them in my bathroom. Sometimes I have them just in my computer, and then I pull them out every once in a while, because sometimes I get blind to them if they're always in the same place. But if I have those as my filters, if I know what my vision is, for instance, I created one and I didn't even know where it was going to lead me. But about 20 years ago, I came up with this vision, and I am a voice for the body's role in healing and wholeness in the universe. And I went, what? What does this mean? Because I believed in movement, and I believe that we're not just this that is carried around by a body, and that this body is an inconvenient receptacle that we have to house and clothe and feed and water and all of that, but that it's a beautiful instrument that informs us, and it carries all the memories of our mind and our body and our soul, carries all of the memories of everything that's happened to us. And so if we're using this glorious instrument that is us, and we hold our vision at the forefront and go, okay, here's an opportunity, here's a distraction. Is it a distraction or is it an opportunity? And I hold my vision up in front of me. Okay, is this thing going to lead me in the direction of my vision? Or is it a complete sidestep? Or maybe it's close, and maybe I'll have to just step in and try something because I won't necessarily know. But I think it will become really clear if I have my vision and my mission at the forefront of who I am. Maybe it's even just a value, like
Mhm.
to live in integrity
Yeah.
or to live with an open heart and presence. Okay, is this going to bring me more in that direction of who I want to be, of who I am, of how I feel? If it's going to move me in those directions, then I say yes. And if I'm if I'm a little unclear, maybe I decide to do it, maybe I don't. But I think that with those structures in place, it will become clear fairly quickly if I'm open and paying attention.
Yes, that's such a good answer. I love that you touch on those really big issues that I think sometimes people kind of overlook. They don't really make decisions based on what their values are or their vision. And you brought that all together to keep that at the forefront of your mind. I think that's a really good it's a really good suggestion to people so that they don't get the distraction, that they can kind of be discerning. And I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people out there. So thank you for that answer. Thank you. Beverly, I'd like to ask you a different question. And I just thought we have all these great questions. Let's just go ahead and go with
dive
them.
in.
So, what strategies have you found effective in breaking through mental blocks or creative droughts?
Oof, I've got a lot. Well, what's funny about this question, it's like I'm listening to Esther and Katerina, and what I would say is my answer is going to be based on everything that they've just answered. I see everything I teach from, everything I guide people from is a reminder that we have 5 koshas. That's the Sanskrit, these 5 bodies. We're Matryoshka dolls. And nothing that we do is separate. None of these questions is separate. None of our answers is separate. You can't have without the other question, the other answer. So for me, my strategies are built on this thing that I'm living in this physical form and it has energy. So there's the energy body and there's the mental body. And then there's that causal body. And then we have that thing that we're always looking to attain, this bliss body. But I think part of the mistake is that we've sold this to people as being that's the ultimate goal, get to the bliss. And so if we can't get there, it's like, well, I'm just going to not do anything. We're not meant to exist there. We're meant to have glimpses of it, have bare moments of being there so that we remember it's there, but we live this life. So I'm in this life. And what I do when I find that there is a mental block, a creative drought, I write, just like Esther, I write. Everything is what I teach is I find it's creative. There's no new idea in this world, but the creative form finds new ways of bringing all knowledge forward, all ways of being forward. So I check in with the physical form. First and foremost, if I am not being creative, if I've got a mental block, I probably am not moving very much. Imagine if we're sitting all day, it was kind of that question that you'd asked earlier, I think of Katerina about, the people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting, I can't be creative. I'm locked in. My muscles start shortening. My breath isn't moving. I'm not getting oxygenated blood. Circulation goes well. The same thing if we surround ourselves with people who kind of tie us in, that are like sitting. If all they ever talk about is the weather, if all they ever, it's nice to check in about the weather, but if all they're ever talking about that, all they ever talk about is how miserable it is going to work every day, then we shrink with them. We get contained. And as much as we need to get up and move the body for it to function, we need to get out and move ourselves into a different framework of humanity. So I move, I get the physical form. I know the moment I haven't been moving enough because I have nothing I can write. I have nothing new I can think of. I get stuck. So I get up and I dance. I turn on music. I like conscious dance. I don't need to go to a class. I will dance my way through the grocery store and I don't care anymore if people think it's weird. It's like, I just do. And then if I've been moving and I'm still stuck, it's like, okay, well, what's the other body that I'm in? Okay, the energy body. Well, is what I'm moving around actually stimulating my energy? Or is it sapping my energy? Am I doing stuff? Am I getting it moving? But it's just doing stuff that is energy sucking rather than if I'm in nature, it feeds my energy source. So I will go for walks in the trees. I will stand under a tree and just breathe deeply of the cherry blossoms. And I will stare at it and I will be happy as a pig in a pen. I've got my mental body. I need to listen to people that I find stimulating. I don't want to listen to the news. I want to listen to people who are exploring new ideas and health in writing. I do a writing workshop every Tuesday afternoon. So these are my things. These are my go-tos. And, people go, yeah, but that's not me. Great. Find what is you. You live in your 5 bodies. What is you? You're not this. You're not this. I mean, at the very minimum, 80 trillion of these cells are definitely not human, 40 trillion fungi, 40 trillion bacteria. And we're at the most we could possibly be 50% human, but probably not at this point in time, the more they find out. So if all these incredible trillions of beings have decided that you are exciting enough to gather themselves around to create you and make you, why the heck wouldn't you do at least one small thing that might make them happy and you happy and give you a greater possibility of being? Why not? It could be just walking out your door and going, oh, I never get out in the middle of the day. Isn't this lovely? This is different. Go play hooky. I said this to a bunch of businesswomen the other day who were talking about they were very in stressful positions trying to get pregnant, really struggling. And then some of them got pregnant and they're under stress because they do have kids. And I said, what I heard from all of you was all these things about the children getting pregnant. I said, but what I didn't hear was anything about your businesses. Your businesses were your children. You gave birth to those ideas. You gave birth to those businesses. When's the last time you actually brought your business to daycare and let somebody else watch your business for a day so you could go play? Get a babysitter for whatever part of you it is that needs a babysitter and then go out and play.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question.
Yes. I would like to give you each an opportunity to kind of wrap up your thoughts around possibilities. If there's something I haven't asked you, I would love you to have the opportunity to kind of like bring that up into the conversation. We have about a little bit less than 10 minutes, or right around 10 minutes, excuse me. So can I start with you, Esther? And would you mind just giving us some of your thoughts around possibilities and anything that you would have liked to have mentioned that you didn't have a chance to?
Absolutely. There are a few little, let me refer to my notes too, because there's one thing I wanted to say in regard to, should we surround ourselves with people who are positive and encouraging? And I just want to say this, we become like the 5 people we spend the most time with. You've all heard that before, but I think it bears repeating. So it is really important to choose who we spend our time with very wisely and based on our values, based on our vision. Who do we want? I'll share a personal story. This weekend, we had a lovely social engagement with a few people in our lives. And my partner, Bill, and I, at the end of it said, well, that was nice. And it was really level 1. And sometimes that can just be really fun, just surface level, you laugh, you have fun, and that's good. But I know that I like those rich, juicy conversations. And I like it if we don't always agree, and then we have to hash it out and explore the ideas and the possibilities. That's where the stuff of life is. And really important for me in my life is humor. And not at the expense of anyone else, but laughter. I think if we're exploring possibilities, laughter is an absolutely key thing. Enjoyment, laughing in a child's face or a dog. I know when I walk through the neighborhood, I love people, but I really love dogs too. And I know the names of the dogs, not necessarily the names of all the people. And sometimes my friends laugh at me, but I unapologetically embrace that. So humor for sure. And I want to say another tool that I have in my kit is Ho'oponopono. And I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but I want to bring that forward here too. And that is 4 sentences. There's a story about it, but there are 4 sentences, and they are simply this: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And as we're exploring possibilities, both in the times when things are flowing and abundance is great, or maybe even especially in the times when it's a little bit more constricted, or things aren't going the way I think they should be. First of all, I can apply that to myself. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And then when we're opening to other possibilities externally, those are such key phrases to just stop, take a moment, take a breath, and think of those as we say, okay, how do I want to move forward with a more open heart? And I'll leave it there.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Okay, Katerina, what would you
Oh.
like to wrap up with on
Well,
possibility?
first of all, thank you for having this conversation with me today. Possibilities, you just have to decide that you want to explore something that you haven't seen or heard before and look into the possibilities of creating something beautiful. And, nothing's impossible because there's always a solution, right? But you just got to decide that you're going to be kind enough to yourself to allow yourself to find the solutions and to find a process that brings you joy and laughter. Like when I'm with my clients and it gets a little serious, I allow Archangel Gabriel through, and he might just say a couple of words and we're just cracking up. And he says, why so serious? Why are you taking it all too serious? You need to laugh, right? What I would like to add is to remember, this is more for those who do a lot of energy work. Remember, it's great to be up there, right? It's great to be up there and doing all that wonderful stuff, but you've come here to be a human being, to laugh, cry, dance, sit, and do all those things. And if you the possibility is that you've come here to be the best version of your human self, because then you can integrate all those beautiful wisdom and knowledge that you have floating around up in the ethers, right? Because it's our human being and our human self that brings the joy, because you're showing as an example of how you create a process that brings joy into your life. And somebody is sitting there going, wow, look at that. Wow, she seems light all the time. What is it that I can do to help myself? And that is just being the example, right? So there's many possibilities, many possibilities. And, always remember, be your true self. The name of my company, right? Be your true self. Just allow yourself to enjoy being human, because let me tell you, there's a waiting list to get here. So enjoy being human. Enjoy the ups and downs, and have a good cry, have a good laugh, just be, just embrace what you can. There's no right or wrong. There's no you're better than me and I'm better than you. None of that stuff, you've come here to be human, so be human.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, being your true self.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Beverly, bring us home.
Okay. Because this is a beautiful question to end with. Oh, I'm actually emotional about this one. I think there's emotion attached to the feeling of this answer, because if I had to guess, all of us here, sitting here talking, have gone through a lot to get to this place in our life where what we are doing is the thing we were meant to do. And the only way we got here for all the things that have probably happened in our lives. Only we can know all of those. If we had hours, we could share all the stories, but we don't. So the things that we all had to go through to get to this place, I would lay bets were none of it easy, but all of it was filled with the possibility that there was something more, that there was something different, that if I can look at a flower that can create itself from nothing, that can be the most incredibly universe, that a tomato flower will open up because it hears a bee's wings buzzing. If that is possible, why the hell can't everything that I was made to be possible? And I think the one thing that I would really want to offer is for anyone who's listening to this, whether it's today, whether it's down the road, somewhere deep inside, even if life seems really dark, look for that seed of awe and wonder that came with you into this world. It took awe and wonder for the possibility of you to even be here. Go down deep if you have to, but it's there. Don't try and take the biggest step possible. Do not. If you tried to jump the Grand Canyon, you're going to fall in. But if you look at a staircase and go, right, I don't feel like I even have it in me to climb that. If I can just get one step, just one. Wow. Imagine the possibility for the second one and the third one. Start at a place that's available to you. Start in a way that works for you, whether it's picking up a journal, whether it's stepping out your front door, whether it's taking a deep breath for the first time in your damn life. Whatever it is, just do it. And remember, you were built to stardust. And if that doesn't tell you that anything's possible, I don't know what else will.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Really beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. There's, you know, I love when we have a panel that just gathers together and you have, you know, just a stream of consciousness that's very similar yet different. And we really had a great conversation here tonight. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me in talking about possibilities and sharing the wealth of your wisdom. And our audience got to hear a lot about truth and vision and believing and opening up to possibilities and recognizing the fact that you're here means there's so much that's possible. Anything is actually possible. And so thank you so much for being here. And I would like to just close and let everyone know that, you know, these conversations are part of Sacred You. And you can join Sacred You for $1 and try out the various groups that we offer this type of information to. And we have a variety of different interests that you would really be able to jump in and enjoy. So we're inviting you to come check us out at sacredyou.love and try on our membership and see what calls to you. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Well, can we just add that I think all our details will be in the Facebook group?
Yes, everyone's
Sorry.
information will be in the Facebook group. You'll see it in the comments, so you can reach out to any of our panelists. And thank you to each and every one of you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Josette.